What's going on, man?
How's it going?
Doing good, man. Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, dude. Thanks for having me. I'm
Uh,
excited to be not behind the scenes.
dude. Uh, welcome, man. Welcome, dude. Thank you for being here, dude. But yeah, brother. Um, well, people, I gotta let me do this right. Let me introduce you to my man here. He's currently an application engineer. He served in the Marine Corps for 5 years as a infantry rifleman. One of the closest friends. His handle on Instagram is @StillBillHayes. Cheer where you're at. Ladies and gents, put your hands together for my man, Bill Hayes.
Cheers, man. Cheers.
Cheers, big dog. Welcome to the show, man. Coffee with Julian.
I'm ready. I got it.
Yeah, man. So tell me, man, dude, what inspired you? What made you join the Marine Corps, in particular the Marine Corps?
Man, in particular the Marine Corps. Well, I had a dream growing up. I was obsessed with Top Gun as a little kid, so I wanted to be a pilot for the longest time. That was my dream. And uh, once I got into high school, I started getting a little tall. I heard there were some like height restrictions on being a fighter pilot. Someone in the Navy told me that. Um, I think it was my ROTC instructor who was a chief in the Navy. So, I got my hopes up a little bit for that. And so after that, I was like, if I can't do what I want, I might as well join uh, what I perceive to be the toughest branch. And then, honestly didn't like pursue it very much. And then one day I got one of those phone calls from a recruiter at my house.
Really, he called you?
Yep. And he was like, you want to come meet? And I was like, sure. And I think, I don't know, man, 2 months later, I was in the delayed entry program.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. But there's there's a ton of influences, like when we were young, 9/11 happened. So I was in the 8th grade. So that was like it was a big patriotic push at that time.
It was our first once in a lifetime event.
Yes. Yes. There's been a few since, but yeah, no, I mean, it was at 9/11, I think that was that was probably the point where like I knew I was going to join the military.
For sure. For sure.
So I think there's a lot of that. There's a lot of military veterans coming out of my high school, and I'm sure it was the same for a lot of people around the country at that time. We were spinning up for. We just invaded Iraq. Everyone was spinning up for Afghanistan. Some more operations over there. So we were all the branches where all you had to do was have a heartbeat and they'll let you in. So
For sure.
there's a ton of us.
Dude, I gotta ask you, man. Who were you?
So
Were you Goose or Maverick?
I was always Maverick, man. No one wants to be Goose. No one. I'm not hitting the. No, I'm not ejecting and hitting the thing, man. Everyone's going Mach 3 with their hair on fire.
Yeah.
Need for speed, slapping. No, man. No one's Goose. I'd be Goose if I didn't die. That you could be Maverick. I'll be Goose because of the height thing.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah, obviously. So as long as I don't have to, as long as I make it to the end of the movie.
Yeah. Dude, was it primarily just the 9/11 that made you join the infantry, or did you want to be an infantryman?
I got sold on security forces. So for the people that don't know, security forces is almost like it's like your secondary MOS. It's one of the weird ones where you kind of go in and do your secondary MOS first. You get infantry trained, and then you become, then you go to security forces school and do whatever you do in security forces. We did nuclear weapon.
Yeah, but there's like different types. There's like fast. And
stuff. Yeah, there's fast and the presidential stuff, and no. So I got sold on that. My recruiter, really just straight up lied to me. I was a 17-year-old high school kid. I had no idea. It was like, what do you tell me? You'll be fast roping out of helicopters onto enemy ships you'll be the SWAT team of the Marine Corps. And like, I'm like, yes. And I never thought, the thought never crossed my mind that like what enemy ships, there's no naval battles going on.
Yeah.
So, that was all it took. I was hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
I think I was down in, we had to go to Lexington, Kentucky, for our DEP program, or our getting sworn in. I went down there like 2 days later, like 48 hours later, called off work. Like, I gotta go get the slot for security forces.
Right now.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Actually, I got fired because I did that too.
From where?
From Outback Steakhouse. I got fired from the back of the house. At the time, I was doing I was making salads and washing dishes and stuff. Not at the same time, but I was going from one dirty dishes. I'd make your salad with my dirty hands.
Man.
So yeah, I was. I called off like last minute. And my manager got pissed and fired me. But then they ended up putting me front of the house, going to go. I made more money that way too. So I'm cool. I was cool with it. It worked out.
That's what's up, man. And then so, what year did you join? You talking about like 2006, 2007?
I joined actually between my junior and senior year.
Well, when did you go to boot camp?
2006. So I got into late entry program before I even started my senior year of high school. So my whole senior year, I knew what I was doing after I got out. And then 2 weeks after I graduated, I was in boot camp. I was still 17.
Did that attitude or that notion of you leaving and going into the Marine Corps, did that affect your grades? Were you like, fuck this, man?
I got better grades. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like your senior year, you take some BS classes like wood shop, and like I took a cooking class.
Yeah.
We had a literal, like, not a gym class. We had like a strength training, like a lifting class. That's what you did. You been lifted for a period. So like that might be why my GPA got a little higher my senior year. But I got my first like honors award at my senior year.
And dude, if I would have known that lifting weights was a sport, I may have competed in that as a.
You've been way into it way before you right now.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be like, I don't know, man. Like
you got the body type for it too, man.
Yeah, dude, just short, stocky.
Yeah, dude, I can never put on weight, man.
I got like 6.
I still look like a senior in high school.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I didn't want to put up. Everyone's been posting their senior pictures for support of the high school grads, which seems more like they're rubbing it into people's faces because, they're like, look at mine. You don't get to do it, but I did. So here you go. But I look the same, so I don't want to put it up because they'd be like, why is he posing like that?
Yeah.
It looks weird.
Is your hair the same?
Still baby faced.
Is your hair still the same? The little Jim Morrison going on?
No, I think I had pretty short hair. I think I stopped. I had short hair growing up. I buzzed my hair my whole life essentially, and then I stopped that like a few months before I joined the Marine Corps to be a little belligerent. I went in with like hair probably a little shorter than this.
That's intense, dude.
And I regretted that immediately once they started shaving my head because they don't care how long it is. You're getting the same treatment. You're just yanking it out of your head essentially.
Dude, I looked like I had like a full like head of hair, dude.
You're froed out.
I was froed out, dude. I was froed out, and I rolled into a boot camp with a Guns N' Roses shirt.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, everyone goes in with a little bit of belligerence, I think. I think you're.
You think you're cool? Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I was. And I regret it. I'm pretty sure I was bleeding after my first haircut.
Yeah, man, dude. I think the people that cut hair are on the witness protection program, dude. I swear to God.
They should, man. I want to go after them. I think they affected my hairline.
All right, brother. So you do your stint in the Marine Corps. Overall, man, I mean, was it a positive experience? Was it something?
Yeah, I think so. I think I needed some time to to grow up and have some experiences. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I'd have been as successful as I am today, if I'd have gone straight from high school into college. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't really have an idea what I wanted to do, like professionally, when I got out. Um, but I at least had the motivation, and I knew I wanted to get an education after I deployed and went to Afghanistan. So, being there and seeing, um, I mean, you remember what it was like. I mean, like, that's the poorest of the poor. Like,
Yeah,
the poor people here, poor people here in America don't even, they're rich in Afghanistan,
for sure.
and you see some of the, just the craziest like stuff you would never see in America, like little kids running around by themselves, like 2-year-olds off on their own.
Dirty.
Yeah, yeah, people, they, washing their ass in the creek and then washing their teeth with the same hand, like immediately afterwards. You kind of see what, at least from my perspective, I saw what, like, not having an education or an infrastructure that supports education kind of does, and it holds you back. And after seeing that, that's when I really decided that, like, I wanted to pursue getting a degree.
And so you were like, all right, man, I came back from Afghanistan. I'm out. It's time to better myself and invest in myself to be educated. Was the transition from being in the military to going to as like a full blown active student? I mean, did you have any, like, because some people have college credits going into the Marine Corps or going into college.
Hmm.
Did you take any classes like while you're on active duty? So you did that, or did you go straight from active duty, zero college credits transferred, and started from the bottom of the barrel?
Really, zero college credits. Everyone has some college credits from boot camp.
Yeah, it's the electives or something like that, right?
Yeah, so like you get, I think it's like some history credits. You get some, like, what would be considered like physical education credits. Like, you look at your transcripts, you get some random credits from stuff like land nav counts towards some stuff, things like that. So I had credits. None of them really applied to anything that I did. I eventually ended up in engineering after wasting a year as an athletic training major. No offense to athletic trainers, it just wasn't for me.
For sure.
Um, so yeah, none of them applied, but so yeah, basically going in, with zero credits, no classes in military. One thing I did start doing was I borrowed like a do-it-yourself physics book. So I started getting into like science and math kind of a little bit while I was in. So I would sit back in the back of a Humvee. I started doing this in a Mojave Viper.
No way.
Yeah, the spin up. Yeah. So you get some downtime. So I'd be in the back doing force equations and all algebraic stuff, but pretty easy. But stuff you can do with pencil and paper. And
Get
I
that.
don't know why I didn't pursue something like that. I was pretty big into uh, obviously being in the Marine Corps, you're pretty big into physical fitness. So that's why I decided to go with athletic training first. Not for me. It's kind of hard coming out of the Marine Corps, um, and going to deal with like 19-year-old college athletes
For sure.
that like have God's gift tattooed on them. It's like their mindset and my mindset didn't mesh.
For
So yeah. And then, kind of clicked, like, oh yeah, I like science and math. Why don't I get into something like that? So transfer into engineering. And yeah, I mean, I originally wanted to be an aerospace engineer, and I got told, my math wasn't strong enough.
mm,
Um, that, like, you didn't test out very well. And I tell them, like, well, yeah, I've been gone for 5 years. Like,
yeah,
let me spin up a little bit.
yeah,
So I got into mechanical engineering, and I did fine.
dude.
So, but it's a daunting process at first, man.
What was your mindset that was so in contrast to like the local general population of your school?
Well, when you first start school,
Right.
um, you're say you did four, you did 4 or 5 years, whatever. You're 22, you're 23 years old. You have some real life experience from the Marine Corps. You've met and dealt with people from all over the country. You've probably been around the world. You have a lot of life experience. So when you go back, it's almost like taking a step backwards. You know that there's a meme from Billy Madison where he's sitting in the kindergarten room as like a grown man. That's kind of how you feel up front.
Yeah.
Except like I don't know, me personally, it was a little more intimidating because you're throwing yourself into something that's you're not familiar with. It wasn't like you're going from high school straight into college, classroom to classroom. Essentially, it's you do have to figure your way out a little bit. And there's resources there that I know of now that would have helped me
Like what?
starting out. Like every college has a veterans department, has a veterans, a VA type setup where they'll help you with getting your GI Bill. They'll help you get registered with classes. They will help you, figure your way out. And once you get one semester under your belt, you got everything. You're pretty much automated after that.
Yeah, you just
Um,
work and stuff. Yeah.
so I was going straight into. I didn't use any of those, and I was like calling the college myself and trying to register for classes. And I got some bad advice up front, but you end up figuring it out. You find out those resources. So anyone listening that is trying to transition, that'd be the first thing I would go do. First of all, you gotta apply to whatever college you want to go to and get accepted. But immediately after getting accepted in whatever program you're going into, go straight to the veterans, the veterans department of your college or university, and they will help you out. They will walk you through it.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that, like, okay, here I am, about to get out of the military, because it's all the same, right? You There's going to be a transition period regardless of branch of service.
Yeah.
Should I apply to colleges? Because I didn't necessarily apply to the college that my home of record was. It was just the options I had were the people, like the colleges around my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I did. I mean, I grew up in Cincinnati, so I applied to the University of Cincinnati. I always wanted to be a Cincinnati Bearcat. So that's what I did. But I mean, if you're in the military right now and you're planning on getting out, make a plan. I'll make a plan. But maybe you got a buddy and you guys want to move to Colorado together and go to University of Colorado. You know what I mean? Like have some plans of if you're going home, fine, apply to the colleges you want to go to, but you can apply to any college. And I think you might be surprised how easy you get into.
Yeah.
University of Cincinnati was the only college I applied to, and I got in immediately.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's
They
what's
don't care about after you have some life experience. They don't care about SAT or ACT scores unless they're going to like Harvard. You know what I mean? Like unless you're going to an Ivy League college. Uh, Listen, like you're going to the university after the military. You have the GI Bill. You are a guaranteed paycheck for that college.
yeah, for 4 years.
Yes, yes, they're gonna get money. They know it, so that they will accept you. And so yeah, don't be afraid to apply wherever you want. You might be surprised where you get into.
That's what's up, man. How long did it take you to?
One more point to that last point. Your GI Bill is a free meal ticket, and you can go to McDonald's or you can go to the 5-star restaurant. It doesn't matter how much it costs. It's getting covered. You have a 36 months of free schooling,
Mhm.
so which is generally enough to get your bachelor's. So you can go to Harvard or you can go to Cincinnati Community College, and they will pay for it all regardless.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid to, like, if you're in California and Stanford's close by, go ahead and apply. Why not? You might get in. It don't matter if it's $100,000 a year or $20,000 a year.
for sure.
Yeah.
Now, when you went in, dude, and you started going towards school, how long did it take you to realize, like, you know what, man, I'm not in the military anymore? Or was it always like, I got to hold up to standard because I am a veteran? and this is what I represent? Or was it more on the lines of like, yo, man, like I just need to chill out, being a combat vet, relax, chill, give myself a new mission? Or I mean, what was the dialogue that you had when you were going like am I making any sense here? Like
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. Like,
what was an internal dialogue that
you
you
carry that, like, I'm a combat vet. I'm a veteran. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, or I'm an Army veteran, whatever you did. You're going to carry that with you. And it's going to fade after a little while. You're still going to be pretty driven. And that's going to be, it's still what your life's centered around almost when you get out. Like, if that is that's what you graduated high school and you did 4 or 5 years in the military. All your stories are going to be military stories. All your experiences are military experiences. So it's going to be like, it's what defined and shaped you during your very formative years of, 18 to 22 or whatever you did, as a young man or woman. So, yeah, you carry that with you. But, like, I mean, if you're not completely socially inept, you're going to start blending in with the people around you and start, relating to them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
you start messing with the kid, you start talking with the kids, you start, making friends, joking around. Uh, as a freshman, as a 23-year-old freshman, my 18, 19-year-old classmates called me grandpa. So, people asking you to buy them alcohol and things like that.
Sure.
Like, I went to one, like, awkward college party where, like, I mean, like, it the typical, like, out of a movie where, like, everyone's stuffed inside the house, like, shoulder to shoulder. Everyone's got to stay inside because they're underage drinking and stuff like that. And you just kind of, like, at that point, like, I mean, we were all professional drinkers at that point,
For sure.
coming out of the military. So you're like, you're kind of like, look at all these.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, yeah, I'm a little bit above, this. I I've done this already. I'm done. I'm past drinking inside of a house because I'm underage, type thing. We did that plenty.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, like, and one, you're not gonna want to get in trouble. Like, if you're the one that's overage and there's a bunch of alcohol around a bunch of minors. Um,
How did they get that alcohol?
yeah, exactly. It puts you at risk a little bit. So I remember, like, uh, that was actually, I played for the rugby team for a little bit, and it was like a rugby party. And I went outside. The kegs were outside, and I'm just sitting outside drinking while everyone's inside. And the cops pulled up, and I was like, "Here's my ID. Uh,
They're all
Not my party, not my house. I just got invited." And, they're like, "You're good." So, I mean, yeah. So, got a little off topic, but yeah, I mean, you're gonna feel that, like, you're gonna feel different.
how
I
long
still feel that today. Sometimes you're like, I'm a different animal than these people. Sometimes, like, I've had all these experiences that other people will never have.
yeah,
Especially if you're like a combat veteran or you've been to Afghanistan or Iraq. You have all these
unique.
unique experiences that, even you're like, if you get into, as you interact with older people at work or whatever, like, these 40, 50-year-old men will never have these experiences. You have something up on everyone around you, and you're going to feel that for a while, but it fades. Just be cool, man. Like, be friendly.
For sure.
Big part of life is networking, and it's not what you know, it's who you know. So it's a really good place to, get some networking in. You're going to learn people, you're going to befriend people that are going to work at businesses or places that you want to work at, and then maybe they'll be able to get you in there. These people might be your boss one day, or vice versa. So, just, get in where you fit in, act cool.
Yeah,
You probably need some help with classes and stuff like that.
for sure.
And then you might, I got in some good with some professors because I was older. They knew I was, responsible, so they might give you a little more leeway than some of your other 18-year-old, 19-year-old, freshman classmates. So,
Yeah, dude. Like they'll probably look at you like as like in a sense of you the lessons that they're trying to teach these younger students you already obtained. You know what I mean? You already have these things, so you don't necessarily need to be taught
yeah,
this lesson. You know?
yeah. They're gonna, if you're, if you're being responsible and you're being a good student, you're attentive, like, and you probably will be because of where you're at in life. You're not an 18, 19-year-old kid. Um, you know, you're probably not going to be like, you're not going to be chasing ass like everyone else is. You're not going to be like obsessed with like just partying at college like everyone else is. And they'll probably feel that. It'll probably reflect in how you carry yourself in class. Like for me, at least, I was there. I had a purpose.
Right.
I was trying to get an education. I was trying to get, I was trying to do well in school. And, that's one thing that you, as a veteran, you're going to have a leg up on the rest of your classmates is you're older, you're more responsible, you generally have your shit together a lot more. And you'll be surprised that, just doing the bare minimum or just going above and beyond a little bit is going to put you way above the rest of your classmates are doing the bare minimum because they're chasing ass and they're partying. And your professors and whatnot will see that and feel that, and hopefully it'll get you recognized a little bit. You'd be surprised how many freshmen fail out their first year.
Dude, how has your experience in the Marine Corps played an advantage to your success? You know what I mean? Like, so how has your time in the Marine Corps really shaped you being successful in school, graduating from school? Um, and from what I remember, like you just didn't graduate from like just in general. You were like awarded something, weren't you?
I got a graduate of the year for my major for both my associates and my bachelor's.
It's pretty dope.
So, and that goes along with what I was saying before. It's like, yeah, like being a veteran is going to give you some more drive and more discipline than what your essentially your high school classmates uh, don't have going into college.
Right.
Um, like the earliest class they have is an 8 a.m. class. Showing up to an 8 a.m. class should not be a big deal to you as a veteran. You should be able to get it done. It's easy.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like your daily schedule is going to be fairly easy. And you're going to think it's a lot easier than the rest of your cohort. Um, your classes, you might have 3 classes a day that are an hour and a half long. So you got like 4.5 hours of classes. If you start early, you might be done by 1.
Is that how you did it, dude? Like you looked at your schedule and you just kind of found the white space to do your homework in, or did you? How did you orchestrate like your schedule to where it was easier for you?
Well, I'm a morning person. I like getting up early. It's pretty easy thing to roll into from 5 a.m. 6 a.m. wake ups in the military. So I would take those 8 a.m. classes that a lot of people didn't want to take, and I would fill up my schedule so I could get done as early in the day as possible. So if I start at 8 a.m., I might be done by lunch.
Yeah.
I already have 2 or 3 classes in. And in the white space in between, you could sit around and do nothing, or you could sit around and get that homework done.
Yeah.
College is going to let you be successful if you choose to be. So you could sit around and do nothing, or and just kind of waste your time, or you could be a little more productive, do a little more preparation, and be very successful. Like for most classes and most universities and colleges are like this. They have Blackboard and online, like an application that your courses are loading into, your schedule's loaded up on it, your notes are loaded up on it. So you can print out your whole semester's worth of notes and have it in a binder. So all you got to do is put that binder in your book bag and go to class.
I understand.
You know what I mean? Like you already have your notes with you. So while they're doing the lecture, you could be, you're taking notes on the PowerPoints that you printed out.
Yeah.
Or a lot of your homework's posted up early too. So you could print out that homework for that day and you're answering it while you're going through class.
Easy.
And you're already done. Like, maybe 20 minutes, maybe it requires another 20 minutes after class, but you probably got it done during class. Easy.
Yeah.
Then your homework's done, and then you're back at home by 2 playing Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like doing whatever you want to do.
It's efficient.
It's efficient and it's not hard. Printing out your notes ahead of time, put it in a binder. It's not hard. I mean, I think if you go to school and you don't work, and we can get in that into a second, you're not going to have, you're going to have less than 8 hours of work a day, including classes.
Yeah.
So you can be a pretty free man, doing whatever you want, kicking back in the evening, chilling out. Maybe you can get like a part-time job to help you out with some finances, but with your GI Bill, you're given a stipend.
Yeah.
So if you can get out, like the large majority of people getting out of the military are single, meaning they're not married. You might have a girlfriend or boyfriend, but generally you're single. You can get an apartment, have a couple of roommates. Myself, I had a buddy that was in the military with me. I moved in with him, and we had like a cheap house. We split the bills down the middle, and I was able to utilize my GI Bill, live within my means, but not have a job.
Your job was school.
Yeah, my job was school, and that's going to allow you to concentrate on school, get good grades, and that's going to allow you to get a better job going out, and that's when you start making your money. You know what I mean? Like everyone wants to, like, it's enticing to make a little bit of money on the side, but you'd be surprised. A lot of companies will filter out just by GPA. And GPA really isn't just because you get a good GPA doesn't mean that you are a good worker at all. No, it really doesn't. It doesn't mean that what you do, your good GPA is going to apply to a real world type job, but it does show that you're willing to show up and do the work.
Right.
And there's a lot of companies that, the ones that are going to pay you well, they're going to filter out. Like they're not going to look at you if you don't have a 3.5 or above, or a 3.2 or whatever the cutoff is. Like they're not going to look at any 2.0 students. They're just not. So, and that's probably the biggest piece of advice that I got from someone at the VA. Actually, I called to ask some questions about my benefits, and he said, a lot of people they want to try to save up their GI Bill and wait to use it on their master's degree or something like that. And he's like, don't do that.
Yeah. Use
your GI Bill for your bachelor's degree. Get a good GPA. Live within your means. Try not to get a secondary job. Try to live off that stipend you get, and that good GPA is going to get you a good job. That good job will probably pay for your master's degree. A lot of big businesses, they'll pay you to get an MBA. They'll pay you, or they'll pay for your MBA or whatever you're doing after your bachelor's degree. And you're going to make a lot more money in the long run, getting a good GPA and paying attention during your bachelor's degrees kind of studies. So,
dude, for me, man, like it took like a good 2 years of being like super like wired tight, and it took me like 2 years to adjust to everything. Like, how long did it really take you to relax, and when you felt like you know what, man, I got a groove with this. I know what I'm doing here. I feel good. I don't feel so indoctrinated by the Marine Corps anymore. How long did it take you?
That took a couple years probably. And there's a gradient, right? Like you get out and you're still very like, depending on how your time in the Marine Corps went or time in the military went.
Right.
You're still gonna be you're gonna be wired a little tight. You're gonna be, you might want to get up in the early, you might want to get up early still, or you might look at everyone around you and be like, oh, these nasty civilians.
Yeah, nasty. Yeah.
Yeah. But that fades pretty quick because
you're a civilian.
You're a civilian, and a lot of that mindset separating yourself doesn't give you an advantage. Having, trying to use the drive and discipline you got from your military experience gives you an advantage. Right. But mentally separating yourself and thinking that you're better because you have these experiences than the people around you, it's only going to create barriers and keep you from being successful, because you won't be networking, you won't be just friendly, showing up. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, all that stuff's going to get you the help you might need. I was successful in a lot of my classes or co-op jobs because I was friendly and I'd ask questions. I wasn't afraid to admit when I didn't know how to do something, and people will help you out, and you'll be able to help other people out in some of the same ways. So, you'll figure it out. Like it starts to fade. You start adapting. You're gonna start adapting to your environment. You're gonna become a nasty civilian in certain ways, but you always keep it with you, man. Like, I'm wearing my Marines hoodie right now. You know what I mean? And you're always gonna carry it with you. So don't be afraid. Like, you're not gonna lose it. You just, it morphs.
Yeah, I think like you lose, like you hold on to the things that are important of the military experience, and everything else, like, you know, being so wired tight, man, it slowly, those dissolve because I think those are superficial, you know what I mean? But the things
Yeah.
that matter the most, your honor, your word, um, uh, your hard work, your drive, you know, um, some of the discipline aspects of the military, I think those are concrete. Those are, I mean, you need those regardless of where you're at in life.
Yeah. And hopefully you keep them. Hopefully you keep it going.
Right, right, right.
Like, everyone's gonna, if you're not out of the military yet and you're listening to this, um, people are going to get out, and some people are going to keep the same kind of like diet they had while they're in the military and PTing every morning, but they're not going to PT every morning, and then they're going to get fat and nasty. Like
Right, right.
like that happens. Like, you're freshman 15, so to speak. You're going to start gaining weight because when you live in the barracks, you could order pizza every night because you were running 3 miles in the morning regardless, and then you stop doing that. So you'll see some people that don't adapt. It takes them a little while to adapt like that, or they don't realize those things. They have the same habits that they did in the military. You'll adapt. Hopefully, you'll adapt to like being a civilian. You'll keep what's good, and you'll adjust to what makes you more successful.
Yeah, I got two questions, man.
Yeah.
How much has like physical, like PT, physical training, working out, how much has that played a role in your success? And also, if I was going to get out, what's like one to two things, maybe even three things that I must do prior to getting out? You know what I mean? To on the back end of it, to make it a little less strenuous.
Okay. So, for the PT question, continue to PT. Do what you like to do, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a runner. I lift a little bit of weights, but like I'm going on a run after this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I haven't ran in like a week, and I can just like I feel like tensed up. I feel like I need to get out there. And for me, I find out like it's almost like a meditation. When you're not like singing cadence and running in a big group of people, you can get in your own head or like put music on, and you get to like not think
Mm-hmm.
and kind of separate from if anyone meditates, now you learn how to like control your emotions and control your thoughts and separate those things. And running kind of does that. I mean, I think lifting can do that too. When you get like real into a lift and like you're only concentrated on one thing.
Yeah.
You're concentrated on lifting the weight, or you're concentrated on pounding the pavement, one leg in front of the other. That's what meditation is. If you ever meditate, you're focused on your breathing, and that's it. And whenever some thought comes in your head, you push it away and go back to concentrating on breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what and that's what I find physical fitness is now, and kind of how it helps me in the civilian world. But also, just being physically fit. Your body and mind are connected. So if your body's not running, at 100%, you're not as efficient as you could be, and that's going to affect you mentally. Like if you got to put some work in and you're getting tired, um, you know, being physically fit is going to help you not be tired and push through some things.
Understood.
Um,
Yeah, dude. And it's so funny, man, dude, for me, like if I don't, let's say for instance, I wait 5 days to work out,
you
all
start feeling it, like
all my pain comes back, and then I wreck it, and then
all
like,
that stress and all that, like,
yeah, dude.
yeah, like you feel like a garbage bag, like you collected a bunch of things, and then when you work out, you took the trash out.
Yeah, my shirt's all soaked and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
things don't bother you, and that's I think that's a mental thing where it's like when you do hard things,
Mm-hmm.
the other hard things in life don't seem as bad.
Mm-mm.
So
What are some of the hard things you do right now that that you self-impose on your on your day routine or what?
uh,
Excuse me.
working out, having a discipline. Like I've been shooting archery. Like having something to concentrate on and be better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've gotten into hunting recently, and that's just like it's just you need a hobby, a productive hobby. Not playing video games. Like to when you get done, you feel like you've accomplished something or done something better. Um, but then like I'm always trying to.
I would like to add something to that too, man.
Go ahead, man.
That it requires a certain level of discipline. Like you can't. I think for me, lifting weights is like your archery.
Mhm.
Like you can't just grab 225 pounds and then just start playing with it.
Yeah,
It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Like you have to slowly start adding it to your day to day routine to get there. And I think that the same thing with archery is that like you have to add the little daily day routine to be able to take down an animal and
yeah,
harvest.
and having those disciplines bleeds over into other areas of your life. Like you're never like you're never disciplined in one. Not generally, you're not generally disciplined in one area, and then just a shit bag everywhere else. You know what I mean? Like what your personality is like you're a disciplined person or you're not.
Right,
And if you're not, it doesn't mean you can't be. But like having that one thing where like I start having discipline in this area, that will start bleeding over into other things you do.
right.
You
Because
know?
I think the recipe is the same. It just requires effort and time.
Yeah. And then you start gaining momentum.
Hmm.
And that momentum in your life starts, you start making better decisions. And it's just, it starts with small stuff. What's the what some people like to say, like make your bed in the morning.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like you start being organized here or cleaning up here and having some discipline here, and then I don't know. For some reason, it starts bleeding over. It starts your day off right, and you have the right momentum in the right direction, and it affects the rest of your life. For me, like in the morning, I'm a get stuff done in the morning type person. This
Right,
morning, I get up, you get the dogs out, start folding laundry. I start getting ahead of the day.
right,
Just to start, you know, and for me, it's like it's just getting momentum. If I lay around and I start turning on Netflix right in the beginning of the morning, I'm not doing anything the rest of the day. It's just not happening.
yeah, man.
Yeah, and then you feel guilty.
For sure. And
Yeah,
what about and that's a whole snowball and a whole conversation in itself on like how you talk to yourself, right? When you make those mistakes. You know, I
yeah,
I think that like it's important to realize that you are not your past, you know.
yeah.
And, and like you don't have to be. You don't have to be um whatever you are right now, like it doesn't mean that you can't change that. And
Mhm.
even if you in your eyes, right, in how you talk to yourself, you consider yourself a failure and you beat yourself up and you talk shit to yourself, that doesn't necessarily mean that it always has to end that way. Like tomorrow or even within that minute, like you can pivot right and make those small gains to that momentum giant snowball. You know what I mean? Um, I think it's,
Yeah.
I think it's important for veterans to realize that. You know what I mean? Like, sure, um, you've been in the military, et cetera, but you know, you're not in the military anymore. You know, you're not.
Right. It's okay to let it go.
Hmm.
Don't don't rest. Don't let it go, but don't rest on your laurels.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like don't let it be. I like the quote. It's not what you've done; it's what you've done lately.
Mm,
You know
mm,
what I mean? So like you have a ton of experience and whether you think it's positive or not, your time in the military is provides you a lot of discipline, drive. It's giving you a lot of life experience, and you have that above the rest of your cohort and whatever else you're doing, whether you're going straight into straight into a job or into college. So so don't let it go, but continue to drive forward and use it and try to gain more skills and more knowledge and like running, man, put one foot in front of the other.
hmm hmm Dude, I was listening to this kind of this conversation. Kind of reminds me of Joe Rogan and Dan Carline were talking one time, and Dan Carline said that, and it kind of always stuck with me. He said that when you start doing something right, and it's that discipline, who knows what's going to come from that? Like, you may be doing this running or archery or lifting weights or you fill in the blank of your hobby, right? And um it's just when you start using that type of imagination and mind and start exercising that muscle that you're creating, like I call it, like your little creative muscle,
Hmm.
that's getting better, and your ideas are getting better and your thoughts are getting better. It has, because you are learning on how to use that, use that in that muscle in a sense, and be able to apply it to your day-to-day life, whereas you could have been once used to being waited on to be told what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like
Yeah,
that.
that's an important point, I think, man. Like, I don't know if you want to go down this road. I don't know if it was exactly what you wanted to talk about here, but like when you're getting out of the military, you're kind of on your own.
Hmm.
Whereas like you always had a directive, you always had a mission, you always had something to do or someone to tell you to do something. That's gone once you're out of the military.
Right.
And that's a big um
That could be a void, dude. That could be the.
yeah, it can be a big void that you can kind of like lose yourself a little bit.
Hmm.
And yeah, keeping these little disciplines or having some kind of hobby that's positive, it creates positive thoughts and it creates momentum for like, hey, I accomplished just one thing, let's go do something else. Like you're gonna get into that, like, I'm gonna go get this done. And whether you want to or not, you're gonna have the thought of like, what else can I do?
Right.
Like, even if it's like, oh, I'm gonna go take out the trash, I'm gonna go clean the house. You know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna want to sit around and play Call of Duty or watch Netflix.
Because it feels weird.
Feels very weird, man. Especially if you're like a combat veteran, man. Like,
You're busy.
uh, you you got some ghosts. You know what I mean? And you've had a lot of experiences that were like not negative, but like your level of excitement, your threshold is really high.
Hmm.
And when you get out in the civilian world, you're not going to have that.
Hmm.
And sometimes I get what I call it the gray. You know what I mean? Like everything's kind of like, meh, that's okay.
Dude, everything's like chicken breast.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. It ain't it ain't a ribeye, it ain't a fillet, it ain't Julian Torres's ribs.
Hey now.
Hey, yeah. Um, but it's yeah, man. Like when you've gone through life or a
And
portion of your life where like my actions can decide life and death.
hmm
what I do here could decide if someone dies or someone lives. If I kill someone or they kill me, if my buddy dies,
Hmm.
when your actions have that much when your actions have that much consequence, and then you get out into a world where you're just part of the world now. You know what I mean? Like what you do day to day may not affect anyone else. Um, it definitely not into definitely not affect them in a way where someone could lose a life or a limb. Um,
Or like break a huge piece of like equipment.
yeah,
Yeah.
even then, dog. Like, I mean, as a mechanical engineer, I started off like I went to my associate's degree first. So I started off at community college, and I started running mills and lathes and stuff like that. You're gonna crash them. You're gonna damage some stuff. I work with a bunch of big equipment at work. You're gonna break it, and even then, everyone's like that part of doing business. You know what I mean? Like they've calculated that into the cost. Like they know the cost of doing business. It's not gonna they're going to keep going on. So the consequences are less dire in the civilian world most of the time because they don't have to be. You don't want all your consequences. You don't want to be redlined and in fifth gear thinking about what I can do might kill someone or kill myself.
Right.
Um, but that it does kind of make things, mundane a little bit,
Hmm.
and you just got to like accept it and learn to live with it. And I mean, if you need help, you need to talk to someone about it. Like I mean, luckily I have you, and we talk all the time. And having someone that's kind of shared some of the same experiences that you can relate to is a big help. And that'd be a big piece of advice for everyone. If you're like you or me, and we've had some combat experience, or if you know even just being in the military, you've had experiences that not civilians don't have.
Right, dude.
So
And
reach out to a military buddy if you're feeling a certain way, like. We don't want those 22 deaths a day, 22 veterans commit suicide a day. We don't want that, man. Like, so I'd rather listen to you than, you know, than you kill yourself or take some kind of drastic action. So like your VA has resources, you know, we're here, your buddies are here, reach out and we could talk you through some of it, like,
yeah, dude. I think dude, what's important too is like I think a lot of veterans they come out, dude, and they're like, "Well, I feel so alone." And one of my thoughts on that is that like, well, when we were in, we all had a common mission. Now, when we get
yep.
out, we all have separate missions.
Hmm.
And these, even if we were close, like really good friends in the Marine Corps or filling your branch of service, now we lose touch. It's because we're into different things now. We have different missions now.
Yep.
And you brought up a good point. And yeah, we are. I mean, we're really good friends, man. I mean, my kids know your name. You know what I mean? And they. It's important to know that, like, even like you're a mechanical engineer. I'm nowhere near that, um, but we allow ourselves to listen to one another and to vent and to bounce ideas off each other. And to be honest with you, um, we don't always agree with each other. There's times where I'm like, yeah, Bill, maybe you might want to, and you do the same for me. You're like, yo, Doug,
Yeah.
yeah, she's right, and,
Yeah.
it's important to have community, dude, and it's important to have uh, people where you can lean on
Yeah.
when you get trapped inside your head sometimes.
Yeah. And dude, like, I mean, people can go to like, if you get out and you feel like you need someone to talk to, like, go to the VFW.
Hmm.
You go to the AMVETS. Like, that's some of the funnest. Like, we go to the local AMVETS every Marine Corps birthday, and it's cool seeing like a lot of like the Marines my age that I was in high school with, or like joined in high school. They all show up. We get to get drunk together and share some stories. You got all the old salty dogs that are there all the time, and they love hearing from you, and it's cool hearing like nom stories from them and stuff like that. Like if you're lucky, you'll still have some like Korean vets or some World War II vets around,
Yes.
and like they want to hear from you. They have cool stories, you know what I mean? Like, and you'll feel better talking to someone that like has some similar experiences.
For sure.
Man, it's a cool place. Like those bars are like old school bars. You know what I mean? They ain't.
They're grungy.
They're a little grungy. Like
They're
it's
low.
like, but it's like $2 beers. You know what I mean? Like you can't beat it. You know what I mean? Like get an Uber there, drink some beer. You
Yeah.
know, bro out with some of the vets, and invite some of your vets down. Like they want you there, man. They have little events they put on. Like you can find community is what is my point really. I'm not trying to encourage everyone to get drunk at AmVets. I'm just,
But
even though it's fun.
it's okay to have a couple beers. It's okay to blow off some steam.
Yeah.
What's not okay is to do it inside your room by yourself with no one around. Listen to some.
Yeah, I gave you that advice yesterday
Yeah.
or something like that. You were like, I'm feeling a little in the funk. I was like, maybe you just need to have a couple beers, man, and chill out.
Yeah. And I was,
Yeah, you never know. Like, yeah, I've been grinding for a while. Maybe I need to take a night off.
yeah, dude. And I was like, you were like, you said something along the lines of like, maybe you need to take a break. No, something. And I was like, what do you mean? And you're like, are you being sarcastic?
Yeah, I don't remember what I said, but
You're like, just take a break, dog. And I was like,
yeah, take a break, have a couple beers.
yeah. And I was like, noted. And so I did, and it felt
Yeah,
good. And it felt
yeah,
good.
exactly.
Um, we never really did answer the question of, what does a veteran have to do? What one, two, three must do in order to make sure that transition is less turbulent?
If
What
you're
is
going to school, apply for your schools before you get out.
mm,
So like I got out in earlier in the year, so I applied for the fall semester.
okay? So
You know,
you purposely didn't give yourself any downtime. You went straight from left seat to right seat.
nah. Oh, I had a summer. I got out in March and I started school in fall. So like I got myself like a few months. Where and you could
You kind
definitely do that too.
yeah,
Take a break. I mean, I had a somewhat unique military experience, but like I was busy all the time, so it was nice having I took like essentially April through August off when I started school. I cut grass with my cousin for a little bit of money,
yeah,
but it was like I wasn't worried about job searching at that time. I was just blowing off steam, you know what I mean? And that'll help you transition a little bit too. You'll settle into a civilian life. Um, so applying for school, finding finding out where you're going to live. Um, you know, uh, Try to get an apartment with some roommates, live within your means. You don't need to get a $1,200 mortgage as soon as you get out. Like if you're going to college, consider yourself a college student. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to have a ton of money. You're drinking bush lattes. So live within your means, find out a way to live within your means. Like one thing I did is I paid off my car with my deployment money.
mm,
Like if you can get rid of a bill like that, that's huge. You know what I mean? Like a car payment now is like $300 a month. If you could not have that, that'll help you out tremendously. And
that,
having a place where you're not paying you're gonna want to live on your own. Especially we described kind of like you know you're gonna want to like you're gonna feel different. You're not gonna want to like maybe not want to be around the civilians. They act differently. They're less disciplined than you. They might leave a mess in the apartment if you have a roommate.
right,
But try to avoid that and try to avoid trying to pay for an apartment by yourself. Get a roommate. Move in with a buddy who has a house or something where you just like chipping in with the bills and giving them a little bit of money on the side.
yeah,
Um, so just kind of a little bit of preparation to figure out what you're doing, so that you don't have to get out and move back in with mom or dad or something like that.
yeah, dude. Yeah,
Anything else? Think about what you want to do as a major. Um, if you're going to go to school, you got to be proactive about getting your GI Bill. You know, Going to the veterans department at your school will help out. Once you get into school, submitting your classes for the next semester as early as possible so that you get your benefits on time.
Mm.
Everyone's going to know a veteran at school, uh, at the school they're at, that's going to complain that they're not getting their benefits. You're like, hey, when you turn in your class schedule, like the day the semester started, and we're like, well, yeah, no kidding, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody else did. Yeah.
yeah. Don't, yeah, exactly. When the rest of every veteran, when the rest of all the veterans did, of course, it's going to take them 3 weeks to a month to get your paperwork through.
Mm-hmm.
You register for classes generally. You should be registering for your classes a month or two ahead of time. So as soon as you get your classes pinned down, submit your schedule so they can have your class hours and they can know that you're taking classes and get your paperwork through and get paid on time.
A lot of the thing that like I keep hearing you say, I never really put it together. We've been friends a long time. Is get while the getting's good. Don't leave it up to chance. Don't leave it up. If you got things to do them.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something that the military probably doesn't prepare you well for.
Mm-hmm.
It's because, I mean, especially if you're enlisted, you got someone telling you what to do all the time.
Oh yeah.
And you're not going to have that getting out. And you're going to find a lot of veterans that are going to have that, like, they're going to be that guy that submits something the day it's due and doesn't get paid, and they complain about things.
To go on
Facebook. Yeah. The VA sucks. It's got its issues, but you can make it work for you if you're proactive. I've never really had an issue. It took me a little while to get my benefits getting out, but I got it. I got back paid for it. So just be a little proactive. You have to take the first step. No one's going to do it for you. You know what I mean? Like,
dude, how much money would you save to get out?
Dude, I didn't save a lot, man. I didn't. Yeah, we didn't get taught a lot of financial skills in the military either.
Right.
Especially when you live in the barracks and you're not paying for your rent or water or electricity or anything like that. So, like I had a little nest egg from my deployment.
For sure.
I paid off my car. I had a little bit to live on and settle in with, buy a few things, maybe a couple things of furniture,
yeah,
for your apartment or whatever.
But like in some reality, you did save because you were like, well, let me just pay off this debt that I have.
Yeah, that's
I want to get out of the ring.
Debts, if you can. Yeah, I mean, how many people do you know that like they use their deployment money towards stupid stuff?
Dude, I knew a guy who bought this legit like Mach 1 Mustang, dude, and
blew it all.
Blew it all, dude. But it was a nice car. Really nice car.
Yeah, I knew a guy that bought a legit chemistry set. like thousands of dollars chemistry set. Why?
Is he a chemist now?
I doubt it. I haven't spoken to him.
Yeah.
But I seriously doubt it. So yeah, and he was still in. Like he still had a couple years to go. So I don't know what kind of chemistry you're doing in the barracks. I don't know if he thought he was going to be like Walter White,
Right.
Yeah. Try to avoid seeing the cool stuff online and paying, don't buy $800 pocket knife.
Yeah.
Yeah, stupid stuff like that. Pay off your debts if you can. I mean, I was a typical veteran or Marine Corps guy. I had a Mustang. I'll admit it.
For sure.
But I paid that off and I drove it for.
And you're not the guy I was talking about, by the way.
Yeah. It wasn't a Mach 1. It was a typical standard V8. I'm not, I have standards. I still have standards. I'm not getting a V6 Mustang.
For sure.
But, I paid it off and I drove it for the next 6 years, without a car payment. It was awesome. I mean, I was I was living pretty well on my GI Bill.
Well,
I think I was getting around. It adjusts with inflation, but I think towards my senior year, I was getting close to $1,800 a month, which ain't bad. And that's only during school time. So in the summer, if you're not taking classes or something, you're gonna have to figure out, you have to have a summer job or whatever. And I cut grass for a few years to pay for all my expenses, but you could live. You could definitely live on your GI Bill. I did it. And another thing you get too, every year you get a book stipend.
mm,
So they're gonna give you like, I got close to like 500 something dollars for your books for the year. So like they're gonna give you stuff for supplies, and I mean, once you start doing your taxes, there's like grants for students and stuff like that. You can apply. You can go to FAFSA and apply for grants, and you can get grants and loans. And like I know people that game the game, and like you get a grant and your GI Bill goes through, and then you have a surplus on your student account, and then they pay that back to you.
mm.
So you could, yeah, the money's out there. You can get it,
Yeah.
and there's scholarships everywhere for veterans. You just got to Google search it, and you'll find a bunch.
And apply, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't be afraid to apply. Don't think you don't deserve it.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of veterans that say like, "Oh, dude, I'm not gonna," like especially me, right? Because they see my injuries, and
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh man, dude, I'm not gonna apply because you know, looking at you, man, I don't rate, and I think that's so foolish, dude. Juvenile. I mean, yeah, it's noble, but it's juvenile. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, you don't want to like, you don't want to hurt the system, and
yeah, and I mean, dude, like,
if
uh,
there's anywhere the money should go,
yeah, and
helping veterans out is like, number one.
number one,
Yeah.
and if you don't participate, those those numbers are, accounted for or not accounted for. You know what I mean? So when you have these things, these underlying issues that, I mean, and you got to remember too, man, the military was a business. At the end of the day, it was a business, and part of that, because you signed that contract, and part of that contract is if you get hurt, we will take care of you.
Yep.
So if you have something, I mean, it's not like you're taking any money away from me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Yeah. These are.
You know?
Yeah. It's taxpayer money, but
Yeah.
look at the bullshit your taxpayer money gets spent on.
Like, well, like what I'm saying is that like if you applied for your VA disability rating,
Yeah, you're still getting yours.
I'm still getting mine.
Yeah. It's not like we got to take from Julian now.
Yeah, like, well, and it's like, no, man, like there's enough to go around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If you hold your hand out, you'll get fed.
Right.
You know
Well,
what I mean? Like, and you deserve it probably. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it's not probably, man.
yeah.
100% they do deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like people are always like, too. Veterans will say, well, like that dude's got PTSD from my stories. You know?
Yeah. Don't worry about that.
It's like, dude, stop it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, stop it. You
Yeah.
know?
Don't worry about the little guy that's getting a little bit of money. Like we do this a lot in this country where like we worry about like like the little people getting money. I'm not worried about the little people getting money. There's plenty of bullshit money being spent and given to corporations and shit like that. Like, yeah, like you as a veteran deserve to get paid a little bit. You deserve to be taken care of.
Yeah.
You put your life on the line, regardless of what you did. Even just your general training was dangerous to some degree, regardless of what field you were in. You know what I mean? Like going to the rifle range with a bunch of freaking yoo-hoos, bunch of 18-year-olds spinning around with, my rifle's jammed, and they, they flag the entire line. And like I know people that got killed on rifle ranges. You know what I mean? Like
Sure.
I got killed on like, a guy in our battalion got hit in the back of the head with a Mark 19 Cheeto round with the orange dust. Like someone left a round, and the Mark 19 pulled the trigger on accident and it went straight in the back of his head and killed him. You know what I mean? Like that wasn't combat. That was in the States. That was just like a training operation. and everyone does that in the military. Everyone's proficient with a rifle. Like you, you you accepted some level of risk, and our country has said that they will take care of you, and they should. um, and it benefits the country to take care of you, because as a veteran you can be more successful, and you can help drive the economy, and you can use your experiences um, to better whatever company you're working for. Like you generally your company will be better because you're there. And like for me, like I mean, like sometimes I hate to be this guy, but like I'm not taking BS. You know what I mean? Like if if something comes down and it doesn't make any sense, I'm gonna say something about it.
Hmm.
You being assertive, and a uh, you know using your some of these skills you picked up from the military that maybe make you more assertive.
Yeah.
As long as you're applying it correctly, it only helps the business you're working for go in the right direction,
Yeah, man.
and that helps the business make money, and that drives the economy. And like, so it's beneficial to take care of veterans.
Hmm.
It's more of a burden on to have unhealthy veterans. um, you know that if they become unhealthy, they need the VA more, their medical expenses go up. you know it, it's better to do the little treatments, help you out in the beginning, to get you well off, than kicking the can down the road, becoming unhealthy, not taking some of the stuff that you deserved up front. And then you become more of a, I want to say I want to say burden in a negative way, but if you
Liability.
become unhealthy mentally or physically, that's more of a tax on our healthcare system. So it's beneficial to keep everyone healthy and uh, educated and contributing to society. And you deserve that as a veteran.
100%. 100%. That dude, like that whole thing of you are not a liability, you're an asset.
Yes.
Regardless if you're in a wheelchair, regardless as if you have um, been diagnosed with like a mental health disorder,
Hmm.
um, you are still an asset.
Yeah. Your experiences make you more valuable, because just like we said with the working out, um, how it you going through tough things makes other things seem less tough.
Hmm.
Like as a veteran, generally, like when shit hits the fan at work, you're not going to be the frazzled one.
Yeah.
You're not going to be the one that's panicking. You'll be the one that's like, okay, this is what we do. You do this, you do this. You're going to become a better leader because of that. You're not going to be stressed out when the deadline's coming up and you got a lot of work to do. You've been through that stuff. You were purposely stressed out in the military for a reason. So that when you got into stressful combat scenarios, or into scenarios where your skills, whatever you did in the military, were needed, um,
You didn't buckle.
you knew how to cope with that stress.
Right.
You were already used to it, and it wouldn't phase you as much. That's mostly the point of whatever boot camp you went through.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, getting you used to stress. So it's the same in the civilian world. What I mean, like, and you're going to be able to cope with stress a lot more than your civilian uh, classmates or coworkers probably.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, dude. Before we finish this, two questions. One, what are you grateful for right now, man? And two, any any saved rounds, man? Any alibis? Any closing thoughts?
I am grateful for still having a job during this coronavirus, man, for sure. I'm deemed essential, so I'm still going to work every day. I'm not stuck at home.
You are essential, dog.
Thanks, man. uh, yeah, so like, yeah, I'm definitely thankful for my daily life hasn't really changed at all. I
Mm,
mean, I still got money coming in. I still get to leave the house. Uh, uh, get some of that social interaction that I get at work. So, you know, for the most part, coronavirus hasn't affected me at all. I'm still healthy, so I don't know anyone that's died from coronavirus. I know some people that have had it. Um, so yeah, man, just fortunate that we still got money coming in, food on the table. We're not stressed out about uh, any of that. I mean, I think like how many millions of people have applied for unemployment recently.
Yeah, man.
So I think if you got money coming in, you're fortunate, and you gotta count your blessings. I don't care how bored you are watching Tiger King at home.
It's the truth, man. It's the
And
truth.
then save rounds, man. Let me look at my notes. Oh, one little piece of advice or tip. Like your GI Bill is timed, so you have 36 months. But I took essentially almost 5 years worth of classes on it. And so what they don't generally tell you is if you have one day left, they have to pay for the whole semester.
All right.
If you have any time left. So like, don't be like, look at your, like, oh, I only got a couple weeks left on my GI Bill. They're going to pay for that whole, whatever, 4-month semester or whatever it is. They're going to pay for everything. You get your full benefits. Everything's going to be covered. You're going to get your full stipend. So, that's one way to stretch it a little more. Don't think that your benefits stop because, I don't have enough time to cover this entire semester. That's not how it works. So I did when I started, I was still on 2, quarters. So I did 2 quarters of a completely different major, switched, had to start back from zero, and still ended up getting my bachelor's degree. So because of that, because my last semester I had like a week left, and everything works out.
Everything always does, man.
And then if you're going to school, try to get into a school that has a good co-op or internship program. So fortunately, University of Cincinnati has started the co-op program a long time ago, and there's a lot of big businesses in Cincinnati that I was able to fortunately go work for, and then it's a resume builder. So
Yeah.
if you have a good co-op program, when you get out of school, you're going to have some actual work experience on your resume, not just a bachelor's degree, this GPA. And I worked at Pizza Hut, or whatever.
Yeah.
So I had military experience. I had, I worked at Procter and Gamble. I worked at Johnson and Johnson doing research. So I was able to, going into getting hired, those are big things. You have actual work experience instead of just your degree, because generally speaking, man, like if you don't have any work experience, just a degree, you don't have any experience. Like they have to train you still when you get hired. Yeah, you will go through a spin up process where you have to learn your actual job. Your degree, it gives you a good base of knowledge, but a lot of what it is, it's a piece of paper saying you're willing to show up and do the work, and hopefully and be able to figure out a way to be successful. That's mostly what it is. And if I could encourage people to use their GI Bill, please do. You paid into it. You pay $100 a month. If you chose when you first got in, you pay $100 a month for 12 months, and that is you paying forward for your GI Bill in the future.
Yeah.
So use it. You paid into the program. Generally speaking, having any kind of degree is going to increase your income and make your life a little easier. It doesn't apply to everyone, but generally speaking, that's a rule of thumb. Like you don't have to be that guy that's like, I'm a blue collar worker, blah blah blah. That's great, but like you can go get an associate's degree and be still be a machinist. They're just going to pay you more.
Yeah.
Because you have that piece of paper. You know what I mean? Like you can go get an associate's degree and be a firefighter, be a cop.
Right.
You can get your bachelor's in criminal justice and be a police officer still. Like you can use your GI Bill to go to like pilots, to be a pilot, to do a lot of other things. It's not just college. So use it to advance your life because you deserve it.
Mm. 100%, man.
Yeah, man. That's the last thing I got, I think.
Right on, brother. Well, hey, man. Before we head off, dude, I just want to say thank you so much, man, for um, just being that guiding light for me, man. Being that guiding light for other veterans, and representing our community well. Thank you, sir.
Likewise, brother, man. I mean, you are I tell you this a lot, but you are like my biggest motivation in life. You know what I mean? Like having a friend that's gone through what you've gone through. Um, it makes everything I go through seem easier because I realize like you could definitely
It
you
could.
could definitely make it through because people make it through much worse.
Mm,
And then to make it through, not just make it through, but take it as well as you did and use it and make it an advantage and not make it an excuse. You know what I mean? Like as long as I have all my faculties and a fully functioning body, man, like there's no excuse to not at least try to be successful.
mm.
You know what I mean? So thank you for that, man. That's why you're doing this. You know, I mean, hopefully um, people can watch this and watch you specifically and learn your story and apply it uh, and to be able to get through things in their life.
That's what's up, man. Thanks, dog. I appreciate that, man, a lot.
No problem, man.
Yeah, dude. Um, right on, brother. Well, dude, thanks for your time, man. I'll talk to you real soon.
All right, take care, man.
Yeah, brother. Peace.